Your identity is rewritten once you understand how to shift and change these three different things. Not only will you reprogram your brain, but you'll raise your baseline in how your nervous system is operating. Once you learn how to control these, your whole timeline changes.
Hey lovelies, welcome back to another episode. I'm Leah.
I'm Tia.
Here we talk everything mindset and manifestation. We teach you to embody the identity that makes life upgrades inevitable by becoming the version of you that has it all. And this means health, love, success, money, wealth, whatever it is you want. That's what we're doing here.
Your self-talk, the voice that decides who you are. Your self-talk and your identity is directly correlated. So the conversations you're having with yourself, the conversations you're having about other people, self-talk is the voice that your brain hears the most. So if you are having conversations about love, relationships, money, saying I don't have enough, saying that person's never choosing me, I'm never shown up for, the things that I want are not working, that's not observation. That's not you just seeing what's going on in the 3D. That's reinforcement. That's you deciding who you are in every single moment.
And this is why your self-talk is so powerful, because the conversations that you have are not private, right? So when you're out here speaking, when you're out you're out in these streets. So the conversations you're having are so important, and the key thing I think with our self-talk is to be really aware. Being aware of like where our mind goes. Yes, we can't catch every single thought, but we can observe things that come up for us, because we know sometimes when having those conversations, we're having that self-talk and we're not feeling good about it. We know that's not in support of the version of us that has what we want. So it is about having that awareness and where your self-talk is going. And then when things come up for you and they're not the way you want them to be, you have to describe it the way that you want it to be. So if a thought comes up for you like, oh, I never get what I want, no, immediately you have to stop yourself and be like, that's not who I am anymore. That's the old version of me. I'm now identifying as the person that gets what they want. I'm the woman that gets what she wants. I'm the person that gets what she wants. I always get what I want. Because that's you then speaking a new story into yourself, new life into yourself as the version of you that does get what they want. Because those inner conversations, that self-talk that you're speaking out, is what's going to be reflected back in your reality. So it's really important that we start to be aware of where our self-talk is.
Yeah, there was a period of time after I had my little boy, and I was in that state unknowingly of like having the inner conversations around my partner. Like, he's not done the ball. Like, you have that certain level of like, you want someone to anticipate your needs, but you're having the inner conversation and leading with like, what's not going right, what things aren't being done, what don't you have, where your needs not being met, instead of choosing and anchoring into the things that you want and focusing on that and expanding that level of self-talk. And it spans off into every area of your life: workplace, your relationships, your friendships, your inner conversations about yourself and who you're saying you are. But in that example, I was really focusing on where all the things he wasn't doing, where my needs weren't being met. And in that moment, I wasn't claiming and being in the self-talk of the version of me that has it.
If you think they're not doing enough,
they are not
then
doing
they're
enough.
not going to be doing enough.
But in that, my identity wasn't focused on all the other things he was doing, because I was so dialed into, this is what I'm not getting, this is what isn't being done. I wasn't noticing when he was filling up the reservoir. I wasn't noticing when he was filling up the fridge with food for me to eat throughout the day. I wasn't noticing when he would bring home from work a coffee or my favourite snacks. I wasn't noticing little messages I would get throughout the day of like, are you okay? How are you?
Yeah, for sure.
But when he had to go back to work, it's all those little things become brushed off because your attention is your focus. But also, if you don't have the awareness of the inner conversation, the self-talk that you're having with yourself, then you're not aware of the identity and the state of being you're in that moment, and therefore how you are commanding your reality. So that brings us on to where your attention goes, energy flows. Number 2 is your attention is creation. Life isn't responding to your desires, what you say you want. It's responding to what you give your focus and attention to. Attention is energy, and energy is instruction. You're instructing what you want more of, essentially. You manifest who you are. So if your consciousness, which is the only reality, and you're constantly conscious of, like I said, all these things that you don't have or don't think you get, you're in the identity of looking through social media, seeing all these people have what it is you want, and then having the inner conversation and giving yourself more attention, more focus on the fact that I don't have this thing. That is how you're commanding your consciousness and therefore commanding your reality. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot constantly give your attention, your focus over here, which is your power, into I do not have this thing, and then question where is this thing that I want. You haven't put yourself in that state. You haven't put yourself in that reality through commanding your attention and your focus.
So essentially we shift from serving the master of I have what I want, and then we shift into serving the master of I don't have what I want. It's just which one you want to serve more. And it's not about how often you stay in having of what you want, it's the frequency in which you return to it. Because obviously we shift into different states, different awarenesses throughout our day. We've got a lot going on. People have children, people have families, people have jobs, people have businesses, there's health stuff, like there's so much going on in our day. But it's what you choose to feed, what you choose to give your attention to, what you choose to place your focus on. Am I going to focus on the version of me that has what I want? Or am I going to continue to focus on the version of me that doesn't have what I want?
Exactly.
So you have all the power to decide where your focus goes.
The shift there isn't I check my reality. The shift there is I decide it through what I'm giving my attention and my focus to. And once you start doing that, you're practicing a different state. You're practicing a different awareness. You're practicing being the version of you in that moment that has it. And therefore, you're rehearsing a different identity. That leads us on to the third one, emotional rehearsal. Your nervous system learns the practice of being this person, feeling into that which it is that you want before your reality does. You move first, cause to effect. Your baseline starts to raise because you are practicing and rehearsing a different emotional state. And because your nervous system doesn't know imagination from memory, every time you choose to anchor yourself into the emotional rehearsal of that which I want, that which I'm claiming, that which I'm deciding, you are shifting your identity and who you say you are in that moment. You are reprogramming your subconscious, your state, into the identity of the version of you that has what it is that you want. Your subconscious is the feeling mind. So every time you move, you practice, your baseline starts to raise because you in that moment are collapsing that gap.
Yeah, because there is power in, obviously, our thoughts create our emotions, and everything, our thoughts, our emotion encompass our state of being, right? And that's why we shift states, like I was saying. But there's so much power getting intentional with the thoughts that you're thinking, causing that emotional state, right? So there's power in our thoughts, and there's power in the way that they create our emotions. And we can decide on a moment-to-moment basis what thoughts we're thinking, with obviously step 1, going on with step 2, what we're aware of, and then step 3, having a different emotional response is going to create a different nervous system reaction, right? The nervous system does learn through action. So oftentimes when we're trying to change something, yes, regulating our nervous system is definitely key, but it's also putting in that action to show ourselves that that thing is now safe, or we get to have what we want. So it's all like our emotions are so powerful that I think there is a lot of in the community where it's like, your emotions don't matter, your emotions don't matter. Yes, on the other hand, you can have that assumption, but I like to have that mind-body experience personally. I like to retrain my whole environment into the version of me that normalizes having what I want as a baseline.
For me, it's like, if your emotions don't matter, then why do we have them? If your emotions don't matter, why are you feeling shit in that moment? If your emotions don't matter, why do we get upset and cry? Our emotions are feedback. Our emotions are a symptom. They're a signal to where your dominant attention and your focus, awareness is in those moments. Emotional rehearsal is a powerful way to reprogram your identity. But right now, more often than not, you're in the emotional rehearsal of disappointment. It doesn't work out. You'll get in the state, you'll have the thoughts, you'll be feeling good, and then you get to this baseline point where you're preempting, it's not going to work out. You're preempting, where is it? You're preempting, I don't have this thing, which braces you and puts you in the state of separation. And the loop continues. You're training the body to live in that separation, that gap of I don't have it yet. Whenever you are trying to live in the end of your experience, the baseline kicks back. But when you start rehearsing emotional state, when you start putting yourself deliberately into that identity through how you think, feel, and believe, through repetition, through deliberately choosing, through deliberately deciding, that is identity rewiring. That is the shift that makes your manifestation inevitable, because not only has your emotional state changed, your thinking state, your feeling state, but you have changed. You have put yourself into the identity, the vicinity of the version of you that already has it, and therefore your reality starts to materialize and change around you.
Absolutely, because I think as well, like, you have to ask yourself and come back to, who am I being? If I was the version of me, that's my favorite question. I ask myself this, but when I find myself falling off, because it does happen. I return myself back to, okay, who am I being? And if I was the version of me that had my manifestation already, how would I be thinking and feeling and acting in this moment? And then I sit with myself, and I think we mentioned this on another episode. I give myself the gift of my desire. I feel what it would feel like to have what I want, and a lot of the time it's like relief. It can be excitement for some people as well, or it can just be that state of like contentment, that peace, like it's mine, I have it. Like it's very normalized. I think that normalizes it for you, which then retrains your nervous system, retrains your feeling state, and then you start, because you're thinking differently about it, because obviously you're using your thoughts to conjure that up, right? So it is thinking, feeling, and also that's going to change how you believe, and it's going to change how you show up.
So if you tie them aspects of identity together, we have the self-talk, we have the awareness and the focus, and then we have emotional rehearsal. Once you shift all these three aspects of yourself, that leads you and puts you into the state of normalization, the Sabbath, the living in the end, the knowing state, whatever you want to call it. It leads you to the place when you're maybe not seeing evidence, when you're not seeing what it is that you want, when you're questioning yourself, doubting the 3D, you're no longer negotiating with doubt. You're anchored into the identity of who you are choosing to be. Identity isn't revealed when things are working out. It's revealed when nothing is. Who you say you are, what you're giving your attention to, and how you're choosing to emotionally feel in that moment. Once you're able to shift all these three aspects of your identity, you're no longer in that separation energy. You're living from the identity, the self-concept, the state of being that says, this thing that I want is already mine.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great end to the episode. So if you had any great takeaways from the episode, we would love your feedback. If you want to work with myself or Tia, all the links are in our description, and we'll see you in the next episode.